first things first. I'm just gonna let the cat out of the bag. I don't know how to pronounce your band's fucking name. Okay,
I don't think anyone does.
Yeah, we get that a lot actually. So
yeah, it's because like I feel like the issue is that the M and the A next to each other can really color the way this pronunciation goes. So that's the fuck up in there, right?
Yeah.
So
let's hear how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
I would just say Dematus.
Close.
Yeah, pretty close.
Like,
Yeah.
it's Dematus.
Dematus, okay.
Yeah. And we've had so many people like
Jesus Christ.
we've had like Dematus, Dematus, Dematrus.
The mattress factory?
Yeah, I was just like, we've just had the craziest pronunciation.
Any way you can possibly say it.
Dematus.
I swear I heard a guy say dermatitis once. So I've been saying so I say it. I say dermatitis all the time.
All right, so Dematus.
Yes.
All right, cool. Well, I am sitting here today with how many people were in your band? 4, 5, 6?
Just 3 of us.
Oh, really? Just 3 of
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, it's just us.
Okay, well, I'm here with 3/3. We got Brian, Ryan, and Jess. Jessica, Jess, do you care?
It doesn't matter.
All right. Jessitus.
Jessitus.
Yes.
Dematus, make some noise. Yay.
Yay.
Cool. Well, interesting, a lot of people like to say that the Pittsburgh area and adjacent scene is small, I guess, right? Your band has been a band for quite a while. I play in a band that's been a band for quite a while. We're in similar genres. We've never fucking met each other because the scene really isn't that small. There's a lot going on. So it's nice to finally meet you all in person.
Yeah, you too.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's nice to meet you.
So, well, welcome to my house. This is it. Do you want to talk about my band or Ninja Turtles?
Ooh.
Do both.
Are you able
Not
to,
my band, your band. Yeah, you come over to my house. Let's just talk about me.
We can talk about
Yeah, no. I meant to ask.
All
Let's
about
talk
it.
about your band. So, Dematus, you are I guess, I don't know where you personally favor yourselves in terms of genre, whatever the fuck genre is worth. Like, you're somewhere in between like hard rock and metal, right?
Yes.
What like, where do you prefer to lean or like describe yourselves as?
I like to keep it 50-50, like darkness and light, heavy metal rock. Like every time I write music, like I always make sure there's a perfect balance of where I just have like straight metal songs and then I just have my straight like rock songs just because I like both spectrums and that's like way I find my perfect balance.
Totally.
Metal rock.
When you were younger and maybe starting to get into writing music, did you find that it was a little bit like angrier when you were younger and then through the years we kind of mellow out a bit and you decide to like oh well, now I'm making rock, it's not always metal, or was that always been the case?
We were used to be a lot angrier. I mean,
We're definitely heavier back in the day.
so much to the point where like the band's original name was Anal Seepage.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot easier to pronounce.
It is.
But yeah, like back then, like I just wrote like metal songs. It was like the main focus was to just scream the whole time.
Totally.
It wasn't that like to get back at like your previous band?
Yeah, like because it was like whenever I was in a band that at the time I didn't know how to scream and like they kicked me out and they didn't have the guts to tell me like that I was kicked out. They kept like talking to me on the phone like, "Oh yeah, we got you, new PA system." And yeah, like practice is next week. And I remember I saw a flyer of my band saying that we're performing like at this place and I was like, "Wait, we're performing?" And they had a new vocalist up there performing. Like I showed up and I was like,
What the fuck?
wow. And then after
Showed up
that,
for
it
the
was like
show.
motivation for me to like learn how to scream. And it's just like, it just happened. Like I was overthinking it the whole time.
Well, fuck that band. They still doing stuff?
No.
No.
Hell yeah, they're not.
No.
Funny
Put
part-
them in the dirt,
Yes.
losers.
Yeah.
Funny part is like part of them are dead too.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Yeah.
Got
Well,
a
and
little
that was
dim
that was
here.
the messed
That's
up.
fine.
Like we tend to have we'll have like a dark sense of humor. We didn't really mean anything like negative by it or whatever. And we were like wondering what some of the previous band members were up to. And we started speaking specifically about the drummer. And I remember him specifically, because I'm a drummer. And we were like, what he's up to? And I was like, he's probably dead. Like And we looked it up, and he was. And we were like, oh, foot and mouth, like just like.
Yeah. Well, hey,
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you know people more than you think you do.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You could just tell by the path that their lives were going, like what was going to happen. You know, some people you don't really have to wonder about. You know where their future is. So
absolutely.
yeah.
So speaking of not knowing your future and not knowing that, hey, listen, it's nice to have friends. It's good that they're getting a hold of you. So
Yeah.
just let them know I said hi whenever you get back.
Yeah.
To the message, all right? But Jess, when it came to the start of this band, like I'm just assuming that you're kind of like the lightning rod for what started this project, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it starts off, it's angrier, it's anal seepage, and then it turns into Dematus, and now we're at this point now where you have this yin and yang blending light and dark, heavy rock, whatever. It's all still attitude and aggression. Was there like a specific time or thing that you could think of that made you decide to switch that? Or did it just start slowly kind of working its way in? I'm talking about the light.
It was more of just like getting to do like more of singing, like, because it's like I always enjoyed singing like opera and like just singing in general. And I was like, I want to like do more of that, bring that more of what I enjoy doing, because I do love singing. It's like I always wanted to be like Christine from Phantom of the Opera, like up there,
Sure.
like 'cause that was like one of my favorite ones. And I was like, I want to just write awesome like rock songs and kind of like have a singing part too.
Then she decided she wanted to be the Phantom as well.
Yes.
Well, that's a yin and yang personality right there.
Yeah.
But that's still like a lot of drama, even though it's not technically heavy metal. There's still a lot of emotional weight that gets pulled into a lot of opera, especially something like Phantom of the Opera. So that's my phone going off now.
Yeah.
Apparently, we all have friends. Hope they're listening to the podcast whenever we upload this. Fucking ding dongs. So the thing that's cool though about songwriting over the course of time, you start to learn and recognize that you can pull things like the emotional intensity of like an opera thing and pull it into a metal or rock song and still like make something kind of beautiful and bigger than just being angry all the time. And also, I don't know, me personally, as I've gotten older, I have a lot less to be angry about. And in retrospect, I don't know how much I had to be angry about when I was, a teenager. Things weren't too bad for me. My parents are drug addicts, but what are you going to do? It's life. Yeah.
Makes for good songs,
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Awkwardly enough, I never really wrote songs about them. Let's talk about what we write songs about. Do you find yourself being a personal songwriter, a storyteller, or somewhere in the blending this?
Somewhere in between. Like a lot of the newer songs that I'm writing for this album is like kind of like more of heartache, I guess. And it's like more of seeing a lot of my friends go through it, losing people that they love, or just like, just watching them having to heal from like breaking up with somebody. So I was just like kind of like writing songs from their perspective. Like I kind of like, like listen to them, and then it's like I feel the emotions too. And so it's just like it inspires me a song to help them heal.
Yeah, totally. Now with writing music with other people and all that stuff, you got two other people here. You got Ryan and Brian in the building that you make music with, you write songs with. What is the process for you in terms of like sharing the songwriting process? Because that can be hard sometimes for people. And like, if a lot of these ideas, I don't know if they come from you and then you bring them to the band, or if everybody brings stuff to the table. I don't know what the method is here, but let's dig into that. Just like teamwork.
Like I'll like write the songs. Like I'll be usually sitting on the couch, like every night and just playing my guitar, writing stuff. And he's always like kind of like listening to what I'm coming up with. And I'm always amazed, like whenever I present it to him, like he already has drum parts written, like, from him sitting there listening to it. And then like I'll present it to him too. And he'll just kind of mess around with it and write his bass part. Like I'll like let them free roam, like have their own vision and build onto that.
Totally. I think that there's a lot of important trust that goes into having a band, and you bring people on board because you respect them as musicians. And if you're not willing to take their ideas, like what's the point of even having them? It's hard.
Yeah, we'll still like we don't have to do it often at all, but like the song will be written out and like I'll have my part pre-written just because I listen to her whole writing process. Like I'm usually like on a couch across from her and listening to it. Even if we're watching like Netflix or something, like we multitask a lot. And we'll put it all together. We'll be down in the studio just playing it all and practicing and stuff. And then as a group, we'll be like, okay, we should probably change this. Or we should probably change that. Or we just went from like 4/4 to 3/4. And we want to keep it 4/4 to keep it simple for the studio and stuff like that.
Sure.
Like, or tempo changes. Like we'll change little things here and there. I mean, overall, it's like the initial seed is planted by her, and then we just grow it from there and change things as we need to. I mean, it works out pretty well. I mean, we've been doing it that way for 15 years.
Definitely have a different way of coming up with all the music because we all live together. So we just
That's very convenient.
from the point where Jessica just writes one riff, we hear the song from the very beginning. So we kind of know it by the time Jessica is complete, like that from start to finish with a song. We kind of already have an idea of like how we're going to play our parts.
Yeah.
They even have their own made up lyrics to go with it from whatever I say.
Made up lyrics and made up song titles.
Yeah.
Every song.
Like
I don't even know any of the real song titles. Like we have special names for them.
like there's like I don't even know what song it is, but they changed my lyrics to Beautiful Turkey. And I was like, Beautiful Turkey? I was like, where did that even come from?
That's just one example.
Yeah.
So there's a really cool dynamic that I'm already picking up on that you don't see with a lot of bands where it's like you're all actually like homies. At least it appears that way.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking live together. You got no choice.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that doesn't happen. Like, you know, I've been doing this podcast for a very long time. I've talked to literally hundreds of bands, and some of them are really good friends, but also sometimes I could be in a room full of people and it's like, they haven't even seen each other in like 2 weeks. It's like, when do you practice? Are you a band? Why are you on this podcast? What's happening?
Some of them straight up hate each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the biggest ones out there, Slipknot. Those dudes hate each other. Besides Clown and Corey, they love each other. But the rest of them at this point, they're not. It's not the brotherhood it used to be anymore.
Sure. Well, I mean, you know, they've certainly gone through their ups and downs. And once you're like contractually obligated to create art for something bigger than yourself in order to maintain a financial stability for the people around you and your family and things like that, it gets a lot more complicated than just like, you know, playing fire halls with your best friends.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's like part of me is like thought about this like as I've gotten older, which it seems a little silly, but like genuinely, like how famous should you want to be? Like, I feel like it would get to a point where it might get inconvenient. Like sometimes like we'll put out like if we put out a music video or something and we start getting like comments on it, that's like great, where people were commenting on the video. I start to get stressed out when people were like, if it's too much attention. I don't know. It makes no sense because I'm a singer in a fucking band.
No,
But it's
it
like,
makes sense. Like because it's like it takes away I guess like what you really do it for, like the enjoyment. It's just like more of a chore. I guess like, you know, whenever we're growing up is like playing with dishes, playing in the water, and then your parents are like, oh, you can start washing dishes. It's like, son of a bitch. Like,
sure. And there's also like, it's one thing like when like your friends and friends of friends, like maybe they come out to see you play or hear like what you're doing, they understand it because they kind of know who you are. But like when strangers start to digest your art, it means something different to them and they don't understand who you are. And sometimes like what they think you are isn't what you are. And now you have this pressure to be like, am I going to be what you think I am in order to appease you or not?
Yep. That having to learn that, like break that, it's a tough thing, like mentality, having to break people's expectations. And that's like something that I do a lot of times. Like I'm like, you know, that's their fault for expecting that from me. And it's hard because a lot of times like I'll be upset because I'm like, oh man, somebody wants me to draw this art piece for them. And I'm like, and they want me to do it at this time frame. And I'm like, I'm not that kind of a quickie artist, you know, I'm not really quick. And I was like, I have to go through this thought process, like, you know, that, hey, that's their fault for expecting that out of me. And I personally need to tell them no. Like, so that is like a give and take. Like you have to say no, but then you also have to think mentally, like if they're upset, that's up to them.
Totally. I mean, I'm somebody that's done a lot of like freelance graphic design work for people. And I mean, whatever, you start doing it for your band and then you start doing it for other people, right? It's a wormhole. And it's really easy for me to do stuff for myself because I only have my expectations. But like other people like will come at me with this energy where it's just like, can you design me a shirt? And it's just like, I don't have the mental space for this right now. It's like, well, aren't you an artist? Isn't that what you do? It's like, yeah, but like, it's different when like somebody else's expectations are like put on you like that. And then like with the band shit, like, yes, I'm in a scary heavy metal band, but we're not fucking scary people. Like we're, I'm the scariest person in my band and I am far from being intimidating at all. And but there's that pressure sometimes with some bands in the scene that maybe aren't necessarily into playing with us or wanting to be around us because we're like a bunch of goofballs. Like, oh, they don't take it seriously. It's like, no, we take the music stuff very seriously, but also like fart jokes are funny.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So you guys would be our kind of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Which
We just like to have fun. So
yeah, which goes back to like the surprising thing about like the fact that our bands had never really crossed paths, right?
No.
But that's just how it goes. But let's talk a bit more about your band and being a part of the scene. So I don't know if like you actually consider Pittsburgh a home base or if this is a little bit outskirts for you. Like where is Dematus technically based out of? Is it a Pittsburgh band? Where you live? Where's your house?
We tell people Pittsburgh.
Yeah, we tell people Pittsburgh.
But we live about 40 minutes outside the city.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So have you always been like just like a little bit outside of the city?
We're
then?
originally from Missouri.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So the plot thickens.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, like we.
Like an hour and a half from St. Louis.
Yeah, that's.
Ah,
where-
cool.
That was the nearest city to play at. We were there multiple times a week.
Yeah, it was like I don't know, like we all just decided at one point like that we were all gonna pick up and move together, like to a location that would have more access to major cities like New York. You got Columbus,
Uh-huh.
Cleveland,
yeah.
like so many more. Like when you're in
Erie.
Missouri, like you're limited. Like we had St. Louis or we had Springfield or Kansas City.
Mhm.
Like and then
None of which are close to each other
Yeah,
at
they're-
all.
they're really
Springfield's
far.
2 hours from St. Louis, and then Kansas City's another 2 or 3 hours from Springfield, the other
And, like,
direction.
when we up and left at that time, our rock radio station of the state went out of business. So 100.1 The Buzz went out. So it was like everything was dying. Like the economy was really bad. Our rock scene died. It was just like really
Venues were shutting down.
like venues were shutting down. It was just hard for us to continue. Like, and we wanted it to like continue to do music. And plus,
Yeah.
Missouri's more of a country, hip hop state. So it was like we didn't really fit there. So we
Sure.
like picked up and moved out here.
Yeah, we came out to Pittsburgh, checked out a couple shows, decided, this we'll just give it a shot here. We picked Pittsburgh over Wisconsin. So
When was that? When did you come here?
I think we decided right after Mayhem 2010, because we came out here for Jessica's birthday just to go to Mayhem and pass out 1,000 demos. And once we passed out 1,000 demos and we only found one in the parking lot on the ground, we were like,
like they were
And that one was
restricted, you know?
someone who was drunk that couldn't even walk straight that we handed it to. So
Yeah.
it was-
that was back in the day when
we even checked the garbage cans. They weren't in the garbage cans.
It was just like we were like, oh, that's cool. People cared to hold on to it and like take it with them to like listen to it. So we're like, maybe this be a good area to like access like a music scene in. It was good. Like where we're at, like I can't imagine where we would have been there versus here. Like we've had so many opportunities, met so many great people. Our band has grown since we moved out here. Like it's awesome. I know that it's like was a good decision.
That's good. I'm glad that, it worked out for all of you. I'm glad you picked the city. I'm glad you're having a good time
Yeah.
here in the Pittsburgh area is what we'll call it.
Yes.
The Pittsburgh-ish area. So, but still with that being said, like obviously you're having a good time here because you're still here and you're still playing shows and your band from an outsider perspective seems to be pretty active. Like you do a lot of shit. So with all that being said, why we still keep doing it? Is it something as simple as just, well, I'm having fun and we're making it work? Or is there like something else about it?
It's because it's literally like what gives me like the highest high ever. Like I can't explain like whenever I'm actually like in the studio and when I create music videos, like I like feel it here, like my heart's about to explode. Like I'm like the happiest I've ever been my entire life when I do it. Like
Yeah.
it's what I seriously love the most.
Hell yeah. So, with that energy and then bringing that love out into like the music scene, like have you found it to be like easy or difficult to make friends in like the local rock metal scene or a mix of both?
I think it's more of I'm like kind of like I keep to myself. So it's like maybe it's like my bad for not like meeting other people. It's just like more of like I just don't party. Like I'm not
Sure.
a partier. Like I just enjoy creating art, like
Yeah.
drawing, and I enjoy creating music. So I kind of stick to myself and like never really venture out into the real
I got you.
world.
No, it's like the interesting dilemma of like, again, me talking about like, oh, I get fucking 5 text messages and I'm stressed out. Like it's like this weird introvert behavior that allows me to tap into like all of this weird dark stuff that I like to create, but there's still like part of actually sharing it with people that requires some level of extroversion that I never quite figured out.
Yeah.
But now I have this podcast and this is probably like the most extroverted thing I do.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's one of those things like some of the bands we get along with really well. Some of them we don't not get along with. I mean, there's not
Yeah.
any bands that we don't get along with like at some level.
I'm here for the hot gossip. Come on.
Yeah, there's some bands that we've gotten to be like closer friends with that we still like we've even gone fishing with and like stuff like that. It's not always the same. You can kind of get the feel as to whether you're going to have that kind of relationship or not with them just by hanging out with them at shows. So, some of them like to party and drink and all that kind of stuff, and that's not really
Gotcha.
us. We don't really. I mean, we don't drink. We don't really. A party to us is like literally setting up like a big old movie night up on the roof of our house and inviting some close friends over.
Yeah.
Pizza.
And carving pumpkins and eating pizza. Like that's
Gotcha.
that's what we do. So
yeah.
it's not nothing against like those particular people. It's just different interests, and
Yeah, totally.
it kind of makes it to where it's harder to hang out with them as opposed to some of the other ones that share the same interest.
Sure. I think we're tapping into like the complexity outside of like music stuff or community stuff.
The
It's
people
just being
themselves.
an adult
Yeah.
and trying to make friends as a fucking adult.
Yeah,
God, I thought it was bad when I was a kid.
Adulting sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really it's something.
But we're giant ass kids though. Like
Yeah.
literally like we do what we can to like literally like not be adults. Like we ride our motorcycles and like
We'll
we
do
might even
stupid
have
stuff on
a
motorcycles.
slip and slide in our backyard one day. Like you never know. Like we just like to be kids.
She's saying that like a what if. No, we've done that.
No.
Like, we've had a big slip and slide in the backyard for
Yeah.
adults.
Uh-huh.
And,
it's just-
the
We put, like,
neighbor
4 of
kids are
them-
looking at it and we're like,
4 of
nope,
them together.
you're not welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, our neighbors' kids were looking at us. We're like, we like combined for little kids slip and slides and like going down our hill.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. Just again going back to just the power of like friendship and just seeing it in a band is a lot rarer than it should be, and I'm like genuinely happy for all of you that you all have each other.
Yeah.
in your little band.
It
It's
definitely
so
makes
fun.
it definitely makes it a lot better because when you enjoy what you're doing,
Oh yeah.
it just makes it
Well,
when you get to be around your friends.
yeah, I mean, environment is everything, right? And it's like
Yeah.
really hard to create or do anything productive in like a toxic environment or a negative environment. Like even if you're writing an angry song that maybe has a little bit of, some grit to it, it still has to come from like a healthy place or else it's
yeah.
just not going to fucking work.
Oh
I've-
yeah, we've
I've-
got some really really heavy stuff that when we get done playing it, we usually like just bust up laughing, like, or we have to stop playing it because we're laughing.
Uh-huh.
Like sometimes Jessica will hit these ridiculous low notes, and Brian and I have to like kind of stop playing to look like, was that her? Like, did she bring a friend up or like what's going on?
Yeah, I definitely vibe off energy. Like, it's just like I can tell like when there's like tension or if everybody's happy. So it's just like if the room was tension, like I'll shut down. Like I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go work on something now. Like Like I just can't work in that environment. Like I
Yeah.
have to like have that laughter and all that.
Yeah, I'll be the first one to tell you, like, life's too short, so I'm not going to waste my time doing something I don't enjoy.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
If I didn't like it, I wouldn't be doing it.
Hell yeah. I mean, we're already talking about dead people, so we know. None of us are getting any younger either. So there's
Yeah.
also
Definitely
that.
not.
There's
Yeah.
also fucking that. Now, I'm curious about the band dynamic of Dematus seems to be very healthy and productive, but I imagine there is the potential for maybe well, you all live together, so there's a lot of opportunity to work. Is there ever too much work? What is break time like? Or do you find yourselves do you have a healthy relationship with the access to work all the time or not work all the time? Am I wording this in a way that makes sense?
No, I get what you're
I'm not
saying.
the smartest person in the
We-
world, but it could be really easy sometimes. Like you need to take a break, right?
Yes, yes.
But when you all live together and you have like your studio and you're always working on stuff, like, I don't know,
we definitely have like we have a lot of other hobbies and things that we like to do outside the band that we have to make time to do all that, or else if you just did one thing all the time, you're eventually going to be like, yeah, I'm tired. You get burned out of doing it. So
like, yeah, I would like feel like, I mean, it's like I have like a recording studio upstairs where I do a lot of my stuff. And it's like really hard for me to not feel obligated to be in there all the time. Like I really beat myself up if I'm not.
Yes.
But like I know that like it's not productive. I'm like actually kind of somewhat creating a toxic environment for myself by telling myself that I need to do stuff.
we're our worst like devils. I swear. Like
Uh-huh.
I can relate because like I'll like if I'm not doing what I
can-
think I'm supposed to do, like working on my music or my art, like and if I'm having fun, like I'll like be like, you need to go back and
Uh-huh.
do this. And I was like, it's kind of bad.
I could tell that you're like that based off the look you had on your face when I was starting to ask that question. Like I resonate. I totally get it 100%. I'm the same way.
I'm like, I like push myself. Like I'm hard. Like I'll just be like pumping out music and like art. And then like, I know the universe slows me down so much. Like I have so much music already written like that. It's just like, I can't wait to get it out there, but like things are like slowing down. And I know it's for a reason, like for me to like actually go and enjoy life too. Like, cause otherwise I'll just be like, work myself. And that's not what life is about. We're all supposed to have fun, too.
Yeah.
But there's so much I have like ready in the gates, but I have to wait for everyone else to.
yeah, like we even used to play multiple shows every weekend throughout the week. And we finally got to the point where we're like, man, this is just too much for us. So we just kind of, we're very selective on our shows now. We
Yeah,
just kind of
no.
do one every once in a while.
No, that's honestly huge. And it's a mistake that a lot of people make is just, I don't know. It's hard because you need to play to get good. And playing out is way different than being in a practice space. It's always different. The energy's different.
Sound
The
system's different.
sound system's different. Like you could practice every fucking day and then you could still go to a show and like, wow, all of a sudden we've been sounding great all week, but now it's just totally fucked, right? So playing shows in different environments is good, but I do think there is a threshold where it gets to a point where it's like, we don't need to play every weekend, especially in like the same city or the same places we're always playing because less and less people start coming out.
Yep.
Yeah, we
Yep.
would
Your
drive.
friends,
Ding, ding, you're right.
Yeah,
Too much of a good thing.
I mean, like, there's even like my favorite band in the world. If I don't want to see them every month, it makes it less special.
Yep.
So
That's how I feel.
That's how, I mean, we call Pittsburgh our home base, but we play here probably only a couple times a year.
Yeah.
We play in Ohio a lot. I mean, wherever. I mean,
Play all over the place.
Yeah, we play all
It's
over.
weird. Like we have access to Pittsburgh and we have access to venues and the promoters and stuff like that to be able to play in Pittsburgh all the time. And Pittsburgh shows might only account for like 10% of our overall shows.
sure.
yeah, just because like
Like
you
we're
said, we
always
want to keep
everywhere
it
else.
special.
I
Yeah.
also like started like realizing that I want to do quality control too. Like it's like a
Mhm.
lot of the venues that I was like, okay, if you're gonna have bands play, at least kind of like you have to have a better PA system because it's like you want your fans to hear you at your best, and like whenever like the PA system won't allow you to do that because it's just like
Oh yeah.
it's
It's
just not a good sound.
Yeah, I'm a big sound guy too. So like if you're not gonna have a good sound, So we
Well,
can't hear each other.
Yeah, no, it's so there's so many layers to this, and I go out of my way to be rude to people about it because like it needs to be said, where it's just like you're having a show. You need to create a comfortable environment. Again, that fucking word's the word of the podcast, environment. Create a comfortable environment for the patrons of this club. And it's like that's all about like make it look cool, make it sound good. Have it just like it's a rock show. It needs to be loud and big and over the top. Nobody wants to see like sure, like basement shows are cute and that whole DIY thing is fine, but maybe we can relate to this where it's like I like shows with production. I want things to look and sound a certain way, and like I would rather not play a show than play a show that's going to be shit.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
The
I agree
idea is
100%.
just for like me and all of our friends to have something to do. It's like we can do this without needing to drag our gear a half hour away.
We can do it in our
Like, we
basement.
can just invite people over.
We say it all the time.
And just like, fuck it. Like, I don't even care. I don't need to play the same songs for my friends that have seen these fucking things a half dozen times. My ego is well in check. It's fine. Let's just hang out.
It's
know?
true. I like we
Fire up the grill. Crack
yes.
a cold one.
Let's have fun.
Slip and slide. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, just chill.
It's good to hear you say that because, like, you know, I felt like an asshole saying that for so long. So it's nice to hear somebody else who's in a band and like says the same thing because it's like, you know, I'll be like, well, am I being an asshole for thinking that way? But it's just like, no, I want my fans to hear me at my best because it's like, or even people who've never heard me before, it's like they're gonna walk away and like, oh, like
Yeah.
that mic was crackling
That's
and it's like really quiet and she sounds like this. It's like,
Well, that's the
ugh.
problem, right? Because the majority of the people that don't know you, like when you're trying to make new fans by playing shows, which is really, that's it. We shouldn't be playing shows for our friends. Fuck our friends. I'm glad you're coming out, but I'm fucking tired of seeing you. I want to see some new people, right? I'm joking. But those people that come out, if the levels are off, they're not like, oh, this room isn't acoustically treated properly, so that's why it sounded bad. It's like, no, the band sounded bad, so the band is bad.
Yeah. That's what the walk.
I mean, and bands are allowed to have an off night also. So
Oh, totally. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Objectively, no music is good.
But
Like, it's all
Yeah.
bad. It's,
Yeah.
it's all bad.
But it's like what sucks is like a lot of times because it's like my screaming vocals are more loud and powerful and my singing vocals are more quiet. It's like a lot of times the PA system, like
Oh, sure.
nobody will hear me singing.
Yeah, you
and
gotta.
stuff.
Yeah,
And so people will be like, I didn't hear you singing.
you gotta play in a room with a sound tech that understands how to do live vocal compression.
yeah, we used to
Well,
use.
then you have a grumpy sound guy that sits there and tries to adjust as you're playing, and then
Don't
it just all sounds like crap.
Don't even get me started with sound guys. Like we can have a whole segment on me and sound guys.
Sure.
But
It's hard. You know, the funny thing is I've found over time in terms of sound people where it's like usually they're all good at their job. They're just exhausted. And if like they get any bad energy from you, they're not going to give a shit. So it's always just kind of like going out of my way to at least be kind to the sound tech.
I'm always trying to be nice to
And
them.
most of the time it will work in our favor, but there's a few that still stand out in my memory of like, wow, you are one of the most miserable people I've ever met.
I'm glad it's like that with you too. 'Cause
It blows my
That's-
mind.
yeah.
It's like, I know you're not making that much money. And granted, I mean, you know, work's hard to come by, but if you're this miserable, I don't know if it's worth the $200 or whatever you're getting to run sound a night. Like it's
Mhm.
probably not.
And I always say, like, because I'm like I'm nice to everybody. And I'm like extra nice to the sound guy. And then even afterwards, even if he's a fucking dick, like I'm still like, oh, thank you so much for running sound. But like, man, like I go home thinking like, if you're that miserable doing it, like, why are you doing this? Like, go home and I don't know, find a different job.
Ask
'Cause
him
it's like it
some-
rubs off on you. In fact, it actually helps me better because like whenever he's grumpy and he makes me mad, then I just scream harder. Like, you know, I channel
Sure.
that energy to like channel lower, but it's upsetting though.
Yeah, well, it sucks when you have that dynamic where it's like there's people that want to see you play, but you're in a fucked mood because of the sound tech and like the music the room sounds bad because of this person. It's a fucking dick. And it's not your fault, but you
Yeah.
have to like still be like an entertainer and like, I don't know, like maybe not with the kind of music you do, like be smiling, but you know,
Yeah.
have some sort of a positive, fun attitude for
Which-
the people.
Yeah.
Which I always get like I don't want to use the word mad, but I get frustrated with sound guys usually, and then after we start playing, I just forget about it and then just start having fun. And then-
Well, you know, if anything, that's the benefit to playing a lot of shitty shows is that you do kind of get weathered and you understand like, well, hey, you know, these monitors aren't going to work tonight. I remember what this is like. So just got to make sure I don't move around too much or step in front of, you just got to kind of adjust.
Sometimes I got to go over and stand right in front of her amp so I could hear.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, keep going.
I say, we even use in-ears, and just asking some of them to like hook up our in-ears. It's just like, I'm not asking for much.
We used to fucking
just a couple cables.
So there was a time in Greywalker when we were fucking our guitar players. They had 412s and then two 212s, right? So they would take the two 212s and put them under the 412s, but they would wire it so the opposite guitars were in the 212s, so they could always hear each other.
That's awesome.
Like their own personal monitors.
Yeah, that's basically what they were doing. Right. And then I mean, now we're at a point where we're not playing like shit rooms anymore. So it's been a long time since we've had to do it. But there was a while where it's like, well, we want to play, and maybe that's something I've got to consider. Like we have like some out of town shows that we're doing, and I have no idea what these rooms are going to be like. So it's like, are we going to do this again? I don't know. Maybe we should.
Better safe than sorry.
I would say 80% of our shows, I don't even bring out my bass amp no more. I just do direct to the house sound. I mean, because I was like, I don't even really need it.
I mean, that's a bold move depending on the venue.
Yeah,
I mean, as long as you're playing a good room.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just a bass player anyways, but
He always says that.
I always he like whenever
for a three-piece though, it's important.
Whenever he can't like hear me, like he says he always goes off of like my arm flexing, like the strums and stuff. So he,
interesting.
So he knows like where.
Yeah, usually I can't see like the front of her, but I can see her elbow. I can see the tendons, the muscle flexing, and I usually just go based off of that because sometimes I won't hear any guitar at all. Depending on where we're at and how the sound is, sometimes I don't hear crap, so I go based off of what I can see.
How long we've been playing together.
Yeah, so that's wild. Like, so it's a very long time to be in a band together, a very long time to be friends with anybody. It's awesome that you've made it through. I'm sure there's a lot of bands that you've played with over the years that have come and gone and
venues.
We've outlived we outlived so many.
I swear every month we're hearing about a band that we played with, years ago, multiple shows with or whatever, all of a sudden aren't a band anymore. And we're like, oh man, we're getting old.
But it also makes me feel good though that we're like still like, I was like, wow, like we're still here to this day, like 2022, like we're still pushing through. Like I'm glad because I can see people crumble apart. So I'm just
well, it's definitely not easy to keep doing all of this stuff. And a lot of times people have lives that really just don't allow them to do it in a convenient way anymore. You know what I mean? I'm fucking almost 40 years old, single, no kids or anything like that. I have a decent enough job that will allow me to buy fucking equipment that I don't need. So I could just keep doing this for the foreseeable future. No distractions. But a lot of other people, like, they do. And I don't mean to say that in a bad way, but there are people that have kids and they're married and all this stuff. And that's tight. They're happy, but it makes it really hard to like keep being in a band with people. Also, you all living together makes it a lot easier too. Try to imagine getting like 4 or 5 40-year-olds together once a week to play metal. Woof. It's hard.
Yeah, I can imagine. But yeah, like luckily we've been best friends. Like I've known him since high school. Like we were like in marching band and jazz band together. And like we were just, I don't know, we started there and we've been friends ever since. So like we're all like literally.
It's actually how they ended up finding me again. Like, cause I'm not the original drummer. There was another drummer that I was friends with. I used to skateboard with. And I was still going after graduation. I was still going to the Friday night football games to watch the marching band. And I was there one of the nights and ran into Jess at one of those shows, and that's when she told me about the band and looking for a drummer and stuff. And then she lived in St. Louis at the time. Well, they both lived in St. Louis. So for a while there, they were driving back our way, which wasn't too big of a deal because her parents still lived in the area. I think yours did too. Didn't your parents still live in the Waynesville area?
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, but they were driving back and forth to St. Louis an hour and a half, and we were just kind of like practicing. It was like an audition thing, practicing. We just did it, I guess, in my bedroom. I had like 8 drum sets just stacked up around my room and
Yeah.
one monster drum set, and I used to just still played, but not not in a band or
And I
anything. I
used-
didn't even play metal. I never played metal. I never touched a double bass pedal at the time.
I was just a guitarist too at the time. Like I didn't do vocals for the longest time. Like so it was like it was more than us 3 at one time. And it's like we've gone through so many different vocalists
And it never
and
worked.
guitarists.
guitarists. And it was just like eventually like they were like, why don't you do it, Jess? Like you can scream. And I was like,
We're talking we had some very talented vocalists.
Yeah.
And I mean, they were excellent. The problem was the dedication. Like one of them just couldn't like bring himself to just go to practice and do all this stuff. And then the other one, the problem with him was he didn't want to play the shows to play the shows. He wanted to play the shows to party and to
Okay.
party afterwards. And he'd party
Sure.
too hard. And then,
Yeah.
There
we ended up having a show with Bleed the Sky, who we're still friends with. We still talk to them. They follow us. We follow them on different social medias and stuff. And we played a show with them, and we showed up to his house to pick him up, and he knew about the show, and we could hear him walking around in the house, and we saw blinds like closing and stuff, and he wouldn't answer the door. And we're like, we gotta fucking go.
Weird.
We hopped in the band and we went and we played. It was embarrassing at the
Yes.
time. Yeah, it was embarrassing at the time, but we just played instrumental with Bleed the Sky. Bleed the Sky is like made up of a ton of different bands. I mean, they got a member from like Evanescence, and their drummer was in Chimera and Devil Driver.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But he's still the drummer for Devil Driver. And it was interesting that, we played that embarrassing show and then kind of became friends with it. We kind of sort of stayed in contact throughout the years, because then we played with Chimera, and Austin was in Chimera. And I don't know. It turned out to be a good thing, because that right
Always
then and
been
there
us
was when we
three.
decided, like,
Yeah,
we're
it's-
not dealing with any other vocalists, or like Jess was like, I'm just doing it. I'm doing it.
I've been
I'm not
in
dealing with it.
I've been in positions with bandmates who are like that over the years, and the thing that makes it the hardest is like when they're like people that are your friends, and all of a sudden it's like, I get like, okay, we're in this band to just hang out and fucking do whatever, but then like there's a threshold where you pass where it's like, oh, we got to start being a little bit more professional about things, because like, yeah, we're homies, but also like I could spend 50 hours of my week doing something else if you're gonna fuck me off, and it's hard to like tell a friend that like you're being an asshole, even if they are being an asshole. I don't know, maybe I'm just too nice of a fucking person, but like I don't know. I guess I learned in retrospect, I learned about a lot of things and learned how to like deal with people as a result of that. But at the time, it was like I had a fucking band with a couple people, and one of which is in Greywalker with me now. But at the time, it was just like there was a couple dudes in that band that just like could not fucking get it together, and eventually it just fucking fell apart. And it's like that's like, for like 3 years it just dragged for no reason, and it didn't have to. I mean, I could have spent that 3 years doing something else probably, but it
Yeah.
all worked out.
There was this one guy who was our vocalist. I don't even remember his name. It doesn't even matter because I don't really want to say his name. But he was our vocalist, and he and I would get into it all the time. Like he would like, why don't you drink? I'm like, because I don't want
That's
to.
a weird question.
Like I don't want to. Like he would hound me all the fucking time. Like he was like, why don't you drink? And he just wouldn't let it go. And
And
it's just
couldn't
like,
accept the fact that we didn't drink or do drugs or anything like that.
yeah, he just got on to me all the time. And then like when we played the one show with him, he was late, and then it was embarrassing. He like walked, and it was like just didn't he like crawl like to I don't know.
So he
It's like,
showed up
why are
wearing
you- it's
he
like,
showed
why
up
are you
wearing
here?
full blown corpse paint. Mind you, we're not
We're not a black metal band.
Yeah, we're not black metal, and we were just metal. He shows up wearing full blown corpse paint. We're playing this like random bar show at the lake at this. It was a pretty popular bar, and he's like crawling on the ground and like draping his hair over the drum set and like making all these like creepy gestures and stuff like that. We're like,
It
at
was
what
The
point?
Grudge.
Yes, my drum set still. I swear it still has hair in it to this day. It like.
That was a good 13.
At what point did he find that to blend well? It was
Yeah.
interesting, and not
just
saying he
didn't-
wasn't
he just
talented. He
didn't
was
fit.
good. Like he was good. He
Oh,
would have
he
been
was
great.
really good.
He would have been great for, black metal band. It was just he tried turning a metal band. He knew what we were. It's not like he showed up to a show and it was his
Uh-huh.
first time being a vocalist. He knew what our music was, and he shows up full blown Cradle of Filth.
like just his personality and all. We just didn't mash, so that didn't last very long.
It lasted one show.
Yeah.
Oh, so that was the only show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was it.
That was it.
Gnarly.
Yeah.
I don't think did we even kick him out or did he just
No.
did he quit? Like,
Like, all right,
I'm glad
cool.
it didn't work.
Glad the feelings
Feelings are
the
mutual.
feelings mutual.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time.
We had another one that sounded just like Forever from the Black Dollar.
Oh,
Man.
yeah.
Like he was. I mean, we practiced with him a lot, and he was pretty dedicated. He seemed like the real deal. We were all excited. We're like, man, this dude's
Yeah.
And he's the one that
Songs.
just wouldn't show up.
And then, and then he just came to a show. He just was just like,
Oh, that's a
play
bummer.
live. Yeah, he'd only play in front of us. That's it. I mean,
Yeah.
that was the only time he's ever like actually like tried to
Interesting.
do vocals outside his bedroom. He said was playing with us, and then we went to play. Couldn't do it.
We did band photos and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, God.
We still have them. I just stumbled across them a
That is
couple
too
weeks
funny
ago.
that you
I was
say
like,
that.
that dude.
We did do that. That's hilarious.
He was so good too.
Oh
Yeah.
Like we were excited, and then it just never happened.
yeah.
Yeah,
But I guess it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm happy with the way things turned out.
That's that's really funny. You've definitely been through it in some ways. It's fun to like, yeah.
That's why it's only 3 of us now. Like we just got tired of it. Like we did, what was it, 4? Was it
Yeah,
four
it was
four vocalists?
4 vocalists.
Couple
Like we were like
guitars.
after the 4th one, we're like, and especially the Bleed the Sky show, just because like we loved Bleed the Sky at the
Mhm.
time.
I was looking forward to it. Like, I
They're a
really loved
fantastic
them.
band. They're extremely talented, and played their album a ton.
Mhm.
Oh, we got scammed at that show too.
Oh yeah, that.
Oh, we got scammed
was
so
it,
much.
Was it that show or the other show? I don't
No,
know.
it was
Either
that
way.
show. That show was supposed to be
The 600.
Headbangers Ball.
Oh, they ran off for $600 of our dollars and like the show. I don't know.
Yeah, we showed up. We gave the promoter the ticket money, and we don't see him again. And then we start loading in, and then the venue's asking us for the ticket money, and we're like, give it
Gave
to the
guy
promoter.
money.
And then they're like, "What? This dude?" We're like, "Yeah." And they're like, they basically just told us that we just got screwed, and
What?
he took off, and yeah. So we get not only did we get screwed out of a ton of money, but we also didn't have a vocalist, and we're playing this relatively big show. I mean, Bleed the Sky was pretty darn big at the time. They were touring. It was a Jägermeister tour.
Yeah.
It was currently Jägermeister tour. We were playing one of those legs, and yeah, that was
Fortunately,
it.
the venue was.
We played a lot of shows at that venue, and they were cool. We actually just played there again just a couple of years ago,
Before
2019,
COVID,
right before COVID.
It was nice to go
St.
back.
We did a tour.
Yeah, and like see like our original stomping
Not even-
grounds.
I want to go
Like,
back there again just because it's a whole new. They bought the building next door, made it one big giant venue.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome.
yeah, it was.
Hell yeah.
It was tiny, but
It's a
now
legit
it's massive.
venue. It's really cool. I mean, it's called Foo Bar. So like, that's what it used to be called.
Now it's called Red Flag.
Kind of sucks. It's always been known as Foo Bar.
Yeah.
Changed the name.
Like,
It's the same people. It's not like it got bought out or anything.
Yeah.
So that makes it even more of a bummer because now it's not Foo
Their
Bar.
logo was always like that red flag.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, yeah, it works. I'll go back. I like them.
definitely love to just to go back there and play there now, seeing the transitions, like
Uh-huh.
kind of like us. We went through transitions and now like look at us.
Yeah, no, I think that you've found a very healthy space to like continue to create, and it just seems like it makes sense to just operate as a 3-piece, with all of this modern technology, you really don't need people in your band anymore.
That's true.
That's
If
true.
any
Bar.
of you guys quit, I'm replacing you with a space bar.
To be like, watch, I can be on stage with 2
Dude,
space bars.
Pushing all kinds of buttons.
And it's a big fun of it, but I mean, we've played with bands. It was a
Yeah.
1-person band that they were that good with the technology and stuff that it sounded like a full-blown band, and all they had was a mic and a guitar and then a space bar.
Yeah.
Or I mean, it was more a space
Laptop.
bar, but still.
Uh-huh.
Still crazy.
And they were impressive. They were good, Nothing against it at all. It was crazy seeing how, technology can replace pretty much anything.
Yeah, I think that there is definitely a fun space to like see all sorts of different music performed in all sorts of different ways. I just like, all I really want if I see somebody on stage is I just want to believe that they give a fuck about
Yeah.
being on that stage.
Yes.
Whether they're in a bad mood or not, I just need to believe that they are enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
Are they enjoying
It's like
playing it as
porno,
much
I
as I'm
guess.
enjoying listening to it?
Yeah, that's another thing about us too. Like
What, porn?
no,
That's the last thing he said.
Yeah.
I was just saying like no, like if there's 505 people, you're gonna get the same exact show out of us. So like we're just gonna give it 100%, and we're gonna do our best every show, no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, when I think like throughout the years, I've had the opportunity to play some really awesome rooms in front of a lot of people, and those are cool opportunities. But like my favorite shows always seem to be the smaller ones. Like I can actually like remember people that were at those shows and remember like seeing fun crowd reactions. Sometimes it just gets so big that like you feel really small, which goes back to
True.
that whole thing of like how like successful would I ever want to be where it would still be comfortable. There's like a weird sweet spot, but like I don't
Yeah,
know.
because if you play all the time, then you don't have time to enjoy like the things you do outside your music, because that's all you're doing is music.
Sure.
Like us, we, if we were playing all the time or on the road all the time, we couldn't be enjoying the rest of things we like. Like I was saying earlier, we have a ton of hobbies.
We're always doing something.
Yeah, we're always like we like to camp, garden, motorcycle ride, just fish, all kind of. I mean, that's just a small little portion of the things we do. So we were just playing music the whole time, nonstop, touring, going up, playing shows. Like life, I'd feel like I'm missing a big part of my life.
Yeah. I think that it's a real easy conundrum as an artist sometimes to kind of overlook that. Maybe, I mean, I feel like birds of a feather here with me and you, where it's like I think it's really easy to always want more and to want to do bigger and better things, but sometimes you unfortunately overlook the awesome things that you have and you don't take the time to appreciate it because you're always looking for more. And it's like,
Yeah.
wow, what am I doing? I
That's-
should just be happy.
I mean, we played some pretty big shows where we're like, yeah, man, we could do this the rest of our life. Be like the bigger bands, and they're just like happy.
Sure.
Backstage and everything,
Yeah, sure. It's a
And
grass.
some of those bigger bands that we're playing with just seem unhappy.
Yeah, it's a grass is greener sort of thing,
That's when we realize, we're like, life is pretty good right where it's at.
I get the best of both worlds. I get to do like my music, and then I get to do like all of my other hobbies. And it's just like, because I guess that would suck to live on a tour bus constantly. Like,
That's what have
always.
plants on our tour bus.
Yeah, I would definitely have a garden.
The whole
or
roof,
something.
the whole roof of the tour bus would be a garden.
She loves to garden, so
The whole place would have plants everywhere. I would find a way to make that happen. But
Mhm.
yeah, like I would want to live my life too. And a lot of people miss out. I mean, I'm missing out on a lot of things back at home too. So it's like, I can relate to them. It's just like all these people are always on tours. Like they're, missing out on their parents' birthdays or their sisters' birthdays or their nephews. Like I'm like so far away, and I picked up and I chose to move so far away from my family to try to live my dream, and I missed out on all that. So like I'm just still, I guess, lucky to get to live on both sides, where it's just like I do get time off and I could drive home, but it's like it's far, so I can't make all of it, And
Yeah.
I've missed out on so much of my nephews and my nieces' stuff. So it's just like the
Why
bad
adulting
side of
sucks.
it.
Mhm. Yeah, no, it's there is like, the sacrifice and compromise and all that sort of stuff that goes into it. And I think that's again why going back to bands that have quit or people that have decided to stop showing up and all that, it's like, I don't know, you got to ask yourself a lot of hard questions sometimes, even if it's for something as silly as like, do I want to just chase my selfish little dream and continue to do this? But if you really want to, you will do it. You'll find a way to make it happen.
all right, even if you don't make any money at the shows, you're still going to keep going if you really really love it. I mean, we deny more shows than we play. I mean, because we can just like, yeah, this one's not going to be worth the time.
You can usually tell. I mean, you guys have been doing it long enough
yeah.
too. You can tell if it's gonna be a good show or
I
not.
mean, I hate to sound like
Sure.
that, but I mean,
Well, no, it's like,
we were asked
comes
to play
with
at
experience.
Brandy's, which is in Irwin,
Mhm.
and a lot of people were like, Irwin. We're like, well, yeah. As soon as we found out the show was at Brandy's, we're like, yeah.
I love
Yeah,
it
we'll go.
there. The sound guy's amazing.
yeah.
Who was he? The sound guy? for-
Zayo sound guys.
Zayo.
Yeah, there, yeah.
yeah.
I don't know if he's
Yeah.
still there, but he was there that night that I played there, and it's just like the
We normally don't
environment,
like to, play
it's-
bars
It's
either.
just like really nice, like downstairs, just like people.
Got to be
Mhm.
Packed pretty
Yeah, I mean, we got to vibe with the people. I mean, if they got to have good attitude and want to be, I mean, excited for the show because we are. So, if we show up and everyone's just like, "Oh, well, who are you?" and like they're all, you just tell they don't want to be there, then I don't want to be there.
And then,
Totally.
Like I just
them
want to
being
pack
in it
up
for
and
the
go home.
right reason is
Yeah.
a big part, because a lot of venues are just, obviously it's a business. So you want to be profitable. So we get that. But a lot of venues that you can tell that you're just a dollar sign to them,
Sure.
and they want you to get those ticket sales, and they want that money, and that's all they care
Uh-huh.
about. They give a crap less if they make you sound good. They give a crap less about any of that. Then you have some venues where you can tell that they really appreciate the music and really appreciate the artist, like Brandy's. I mean, Brandy's like, I don't want to say anything that would get them in trouble, but they're
some guy and he cares about the music and
Yeah.
stuff. Like he's like literally he'll try to
he'll do
have
whatever he
shows
can.
still to this day, like
He'll-
make it happen.
He'll
no
do
matter
whatever
what.
he can. I mean, he's got big bands coming through there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, on
play
Halloween with-
green jelly.
yeah.
Or
Which
whatever
we
they're
know.
called now, green jello or something now.
Do they
It
change the
was
name?
Jello. That's Jelly now.
Okay. Yeah.
I knew
So
it
it was
was
green
one of
jello,
those.
but yeah. So and even without knowing that it was going to be with them, we were like, yeah, we'll play. It's just Brandy's, like they're awesome. They're all about the music. I mean, they even, what would the shirt say? He gave us shirts.
Live music matters.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it was just, it said it straight on the chest. Live music
The
matters.
owner
I mean, the
always
guy that
says it.
owns it, and that's a restaurant and everything. Like they got a full blown Italian restaurant upstairs.
The
Like
owner,
very
the owner
good.
comes up every time we play, and he's just down there. Not just us, but like just anytime he has bands there, he's always down there watching the bands.
Yeah.
At the back of the room, just listening to all the bands, which is pretty cool to me.
And Mike at Nicholas Axe.
Oh yeah, we love playing at this place in Ohio. Like he still cares about like bands, and he's like this bar in it's not Fairpoint, it's
Close enough.
Clairsville,
Yeah,
Ohio.
St. Clairsville.
But it's just like it's this bar, and he like literally does it just for the like he helps out the band just for the music. And
Yeah.
it's just,
And he'll
I love people like
he'll come
that.
down. He's the owner. He doesn't even have to be in there. He comes down and he watches the bands and he books the bands. He treats them really well. He doesn't force them to sell tickets and do all this other stuff. He takes care of all that. He gives the bands like part of the bar tabs, like whatever the profits are. So nights that he has shows, he's really not making profit after paying all of his bartenders and keeping the lights on,
Yeah.
all that other stuff. All of his profit money goes to the bands.
The funny thing is I guarantee you he's probably still making money.
Oh yeah.
It's just that the amount of money that places like that make is staggering. And the amount that they give to artists is very, very, very much nothing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just like from operating behind the scenes and seeing some fucking sheets from shows that have happened
Mhm.
that I've worked. Woof.
Lot of
There's
money.
Woof.
there's times where we would play a show even here in Pittsburgh, like the room would be packed, and we're like say like for instance, we play with a show at with OTEP at the Altar Bar. The music promoter just gives us $60. We're like, wow.
We sold a lot of tickets. We had a
We're
lot of
just like,
people there.
wow. That's it.
We played, our crowd was bigger than OTEP's
I mean, not
crowd.
that we're in it for the money. I mean, it definitely helps out a ton.
There's just a lot
Yeah,
of
we'd
work.
like to be able to have the money to put back into the music. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't take any of the money that we make at these shows. We don't take it like, oh, here's your.
Yeah,
never
we use it.
just
We put it all
decide
back into the band 100%.
Mhm.
Record,
None of the
make
three of us
videos.
ever see it until it's like,
Yeah.
oh, we're gonna go to the studio, and then
Merch.
oh, we can use that for the studio,
Yeah.
or we can use that for a music video or merch or
We
whatever.
may see it like in like, oh, like we got a shirt design and we wanted one for ourselves. That's it. Like we're like, oh,
That's where we
I'll
see the
take
money.
one.
Like, oh, that's a new guitar pick. I don't have one of those
Yeah,
yet. I
like,
want
oh,
one
Our
of
one
those.
we're far away. We'll stop and dinner. And
Oh
eat
yeah.
dinner.
Oh yeah, we
on the
did.
way home.
We did treat ourselves to the Thanksgiving feast at Cracker Barrel at the end of a tour after eating chili Frito pie for like 4 days. It was awesome.
Yeah, we'll bring like a small little grill, either charcoal or propane. Usually when we're on the road, and we'll go try to eat fresh food instead of just eating garbage the whole time.
Yeah.
Yep. We shared.
It's not good for any of us to eat that like when we're all in the band together.
Oh yeah.
We've shared. We shared like brats with like, I don't know, El Nino. Like we played with El Nino up in Cleveland and stuff, and Orgy. We're like, hey, a friend of ours lives up near Cleveland. Ed, anytime we're playing in Ohio, he's there. He's awesome. but he shows up. He brings tons of meat and stuff to grill, and we have him hanging out backstage, like with all the tour buses and stuff like that. And he doesn't know who any of these people are. Like some of the stuff he listens to is way beyond heavy than, like stuff that he comes to our shows for. They tend to be softer than what he actually listens to. So he won't know who any of these guys are. And they're some of the biggest like names in metal history that are walking around. They're like, hey, you want a hot dog? And then they're like, sure. And they come over, and then Jessica's just like because there's the one guy from what was that band? Can't remember. You had like their patch sewn onto like your hoodie or something like that.
What about Jay Gordon?
No, not Jay
Wasn't
Gordon
it Soil
himself.
Work?
Yeah, I mean, Work.
Yeah, we played with Soil Work. We played with a lot of bands
I
there.
don't know.
But yeah, there was a band. The guitarist, like she had been listening to him for years, even his prior bands and stuff.
Yeah.
And then like here's Ed. Hey, you want a hot dog? And then he comes and walks over, and Jess is just like we're standing there hanging out with like one of her high school idols.
Yeah. The funny
Thanks,
thing,
Ed.
the funny thing is, it's like they're all people, and a lot of time, like how I talk about like, oh, I hate when I get like too many messages or something like that. I think that those people kind of hate the whole like, oh, like you're so and so and blah 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 blah. Just somebody just casually being like, hey, want a hot dog? It might be nice just to be like, okay, like this
Sure.
person's not asking for like a fucking autograph or to take a picture or anything like that. It's just like you get to be normal again for like a brief moment. What's more normal than just having a hot dog from a stranger?
Get a hot dog off a little mini grill.
Uh-huh.
And like the crazy part about that too is that like we're not like a super like huge band, but like say like when we go to concerts, like Jess and I will go to a concert and people will recognize us though at the shows.
Yeah.
We go to the same concerts that like we would be playing at, and those people will go to too, and they see us, and then they see us in the crowd, and they come up to us, take pictures with us.
Yeah.
And then once that one person, and then everybody starts to do it.
Everyone's like, who is that? Because they notice that you're getting a picture taken or you're just
Then
an autograph. Then everyone's like,
we even
they've got to be famous. It's
yeah,
like,
then we even got
no,
escorted
they
to our
just
seats
recognize
one time.
It was funny because like it like didn't click in my head like why these people wanted to take a picture with me. Like I wasn't in that like, oh, I play in a band mindset. Like they were like, can we take a picture with you? And I was just like, in my head, I was like,
sitting there with ice cream in her
Yeah, I was
hand.
sitting there eating ice cream.
I was just like, why? And then I was like, oh, like, and then like I was like, duh.
we were sitting there we were sitting there enjoying
And
ourselves.
it was just like, and it was cool hearing them say like, as they were walking away, like I knew it was her. Like, so I was just like, oh man, like I just felt dumb because I was just like, I don't think of that mindset, like, oh, I play in a band, like, and I'm like,
especially because you almost feel like you've humbled and like shrunk down when you go to a show like that, because that was at Key Bank
Yeah, it was
Pavilion,
Key Bank
for
Pavilion.
Star Lake, whatever they call it now. That's where it was, because we've only played one show there ever. But people there at a really big show were recognizing our band.
It
So-
just didn't click. Like I was just like kind of like, why? Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't click
That's the
because
last
you're
thing you
something
expect,
so
you
much
know?
bigger than you.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I've been at like Sheets and someone's making my sandwich like Gray Walker.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Extra pickles, dude.
It is cool, isn't it?
No, it's great. It's
Yeah.
cool. It's just nice to know that like there are like real people that live normal lives that are still coming out and like doing this thing. It's like, again, a lot of people will poo-poo like nobody comes out to shows and things like that. It's like, no, they may not come out to your shows, but people do go out to shows.
Mhm.
You just gotta play good shows.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
The
what I
thing.
mean. You gotta be.
Yeah.
It's easier to get those people when it's like your show and you're putting it on and you can do the advertising and stuff like that.
You got to work hard to get yourself on that level.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's. We didn't realize that for the longest time too. That's why we were playing every show we could get. But then one day we're like, all these like little shows are killing us.
And
Yeah.
we're playing these tiny shows in like back rooms of bars in a town that we've never played in before, and doing that 3 times a week. Like we were playing a lot of shows.
That's when we were. Yeah, this one day
it was ridiculous.
Yeah, just like that. That's what I was saying earlier. Like one day we were just like, we're done with all these little shows.
Mhm.
We got to start putting ourselves.
Less is more.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
and ever since we've done that, I mean, it's paid off for us. I mean, we have a better turnout. I mean, we're putting out better shows. Everything's just been working out
Yeah,
better.
I've noticed the turnout has been a lot higher now when we do shows as prior to when we were
Yeah,
doing
you
shows
play
all
less,
the time.
So people are going to be like, okay, well, I haven't seen this band in a while. And then
Yeah.
also, if you combine that with a place that people actually enjoy being in,
That's
that helps too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't even think we played one show yet this year. I think.
Have we? I feel like we have. Maybe we haven't.
I don't know. There
We've been
was-
focusing on music
there was-
videos and recording
Yeah,
and
we've been,
stuff.
yeah.
Like
we've been-
that's our tunnel vision right now. Is
That's
like
fine.
we have like
That's fine.
we have like
You don't-
5 music videos planned, and
Yeah,
we just
you don't
the writing
have to play
process.
shows all. You really don't.
Yeah.
They have
But
a
that's
music
the
video
thing that
about to drop.
Yeah, there's a music video that comes out August 5th.
Oh, cool.
And with our new single, and it is the rock song. And like for my fans, like there is gonna be the heavy one that's gonna come next. Like
It's
I don't
coming.
want them to think that like, oh, this is like my future, but they should know
Yeah.
like
You'll
you know,
never
this
have
is-
one without the other.
Yeah, there's always gonna
Like for
be
every soft song we have a heavy song.
because it's just like the new album, which will come out whenever it comes out. Like honestly, like I put so much pressures on like, you know, you see how everyone else is doing it. Like everyone makes it seem so easy. Like I'm dropping this album and everything like seems to work out for them. It's just like I said, you know, like sometimes the universe like holds back. It's
Well,
just like you
yeah.
run into things and I whenever my music comes out, it's just gonna come out. Like so it's
Mhm.
just like I no longer put timelines or anything. I mean, I do now because like the singles was out. I had everything, so I was able to put the date. Like this is when it drops because I had everything in my hands. But it's
Yeah.
like coming out with a new album. I don't know when all the music's gonna get released. I'm just gonna keep dropping, you know,
Yeah,
this song.
You have to take your time. You're only one person as a unit. You're only 3 people, and most of these people that it's easy to compare ourselves to have like teams of people working behind them. And even then, it's like the thing that you're seeing that they released today and the thing that they're going to release next week, that's stuff that they could have been working on for 2 years. You never see the
Yeah.
behind the scenes process.
True.
I think everybody struggles in their own way. It's just the struggle isn't publicized, right? So
Yeah.
And another thing, I have to remind myself too, there's a lot of stuff that is out of our control. Like once we
Yeah.
record the music and it's into the studio's hands, I mean, once we're done recording, it's out of our hands until everything. All we could do is just like, if it's not moving quick enough, which we don't do, but I'm saying we can message them like, hey, you know, how's this going? But still, he could just be like, good, and, you know, never work on it. But just a lot of stuff happens that's like out of our control.
Like last year, like everything just kept happening. Like it was just like the studio caught fire.
Oh, caught fire and
what else?
flooded at
His
the
computer,
same time.
his software stopped
The
working.
software stopped working. It was just like a lot of things that were frustrating. That's what I mean. It was like I just felt like last year the universe was just kind of like throwing like
Making us take a break.
making me take breaks,
Mhm.
like to slow me back from the timeline I'm supposed to be at. or
Which was
something.
good because it's nice to have some of that pressure off, considering how horrendous last year was.
Yeah, last
It was not good
I
for
It
mean,
was
us.
so bad.
this year's pretty rough for us too. Like
Not even
well-
just like band wise, like life.
sure, I
Like,
understand
like,
that.
Life's
Yeah.
been beating us up.
Yeah.
like life this year is pretty rough too, but that's why I was just like I'm releasing my own personal pressure, you know, of like, you know what, like I'm going to like just let it go with the flow. Like whenever I'm gonna drop this song, and I know most people would probably drop their whole CD, like that's not gonna be the case with my band. I'm gonna be like dropping singles because we were supposed to have been back in the studio by now, like to record the last 5 songs,
Yeah.
and it just did not work out that
Yeah.
way.
Put out songs. I mean, people don't have the attention to really dedicate more than 5 or 10 minutes to one thing at a time anymore because there's so much going on.
Mhm.
You're putting out songs. I'm going to put out a song. Some other band's
Yeah.
going to put out a song.
Yeah, everyone has ADHD.
And then all of Stranger Things is on Netflix and I have to watch that.
Yeah.
And then
Totally
there's New
true.
Great British Bake Off.
yeah.
You know, whatever.
And then
whatever.
they forget their original thought.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And then, yeah.
That's what I mean. Everyone has super ADHD. So I was just like, I'm just gonna end up like going with my own personal timeline because everyone like has their own like universe and how things work out. And it's just like mine, I'm not gonna like be like, oh, well, I have to come out with this new album, have this other half recorded by December to drop the whole thing. It's just like I'm just gonna drop singles because that seems to work for me like right now, like in my life. So it's just like my fans can expect like this new single to hit, like, you know, August 5th, and then like that heavy one, like hopefully we can shoot the video soon and like drop that one soon. Like I just want to like just do what works for my timeline because it's just like things just throw punches and
Yeah.
and it's just how my life has always been. It's just like makes it exciting, but it's also frustrating when you have a vision of how like you just want everything to go perfectly. But it's like we have some crazy stories to tell, and people always are like, "Oh, you guys are being dramatic." It's like, no, like our life is very, very interesting. Like the stories that happen.
About the weirdest crap happened to us over the years.
It's just how it's always been.
Yeah, totally get it. Well, as this choo-choo rounds the corner, wrapping up today's episode, I want to thank you all again.
Thank
Jess.
you.
Thank you.
Brian, Dematus.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's been a great
Thank
time.
you.
So you have a single coming out on August 5th. This episode will be out after then.
Nice.
So people can go listen to that.
Yes.
I imagine all the hip places, right? MySpace, Reverb Nation.
MySpace
where else
gets
do
a
people listen to music?
MySpace gets a
Vampire Freaks.
gets a
Vampire
you get-
Freaks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta listen. MySpace get to listen to it before it comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I imagine you're on Spotify and all that
Oh, yeah.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can find us anywhere.
I'll
Apple
put links in the
Music.
comments.
Yeah, you
and
can find
all
us
stuff.
on Apple Music, Amazon,
Yeah. It's-
iTunes,
Yep. And YouTube, like we'll have like the
video.
official video, which I'm really excited for. Like it's just like most of our videos, like people don't know that we directed and like do a lot of the set building ourselves. This one we didn't build a set for, but it's just like more of like I tell my film guy like the storyline, like what shots I'm looking for. Like I'm
Sure.
pretty much like directing the video, and he like pulls my ideas together, and it's just amazing how well it turned out, and I can't wait for everyone to see it.
I love that attitude. Hell yeah. So YouTube link in the comments.
Yes.
Check them out. Thank you all for coming by.
Yeah, thank you so
It's
much.
been a great
you.
chat.
Yep.
Yeah, and hopefully
One day our bands
Yes.
will play.
That
Yes.
One
was
day we'll get a
sick.
show together.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
It'd be awesome.
Uh-huh. Yeah. We're just a bunch of kindness
Yes.
juxtaposed with musical aggression.
Yes.
Yes. Well, I guess that's it.
Thank
Goodbye,
you.
Internet.
See ya.
Thanks for
See
hanging
ya.
out. Bye. Cool. And we are